good morning. Last year, I decided to rebuild my succulent collection, but I lost many of my collection due to beginner's mistake, weather, and negligence. And so this year, no. Last year, I decided to rebuild that collection. And because of that, I realized that I have become a succulent I realized that I've become a succulent addict, and so since I lost many of my collection, I thought I would replace them. um, During the pandemic, became addicted to succulents, just like all the other people when they started getting into plants. And so yeah, I knew that I would become a succulent addict. So now I'm just gonna replace the collection, and slowly I'm rebuilding that. I began by buying baby succulents from a seller whom I really liked because they were very cheap and there was a lot of variety. Hello, my battery died, and it's hard to record stuff when my animals are being makulit. So, what was I saying? So, last year, wait, my camera is not. So, last year I began by buying baby succulents from a seller that I really liked, and she was selling them for a very cheap price. They were really very cheap, so it was really tempting to buy a lot. But one thing that I have learned is that, um, well, I also bought succulents from other sellers who sold more mature plants and stronger plants, but they were more expensive. So the thing was, uh, I was tempted to buy from my favorite seller who was selling really cheap plants, and it was really very convenient as well because she would just drop the plants on the dropping area. I would just pick them up, so I don't have to pay for shipping fee and all that. And wait. And because of that, I bought so many cheap baby plants. But the bad thing about that is, let me just adjust my camera. The bad thing about that is, they were babies, and so they were still weak, and it's hard for them to acclimatize and get established. So they suffered from strong typhoons. And are we recording? Yes, we are. So they suffered from strong typhoons. There were a lot of rains, and uh, they suffered from prolonged periods of humidity. And many of those plants uh, are gone now. They're unalive. They're dead. And because of that, one of the things that I learned is that it would have been better if I bought the mature plants, because most of the mature plants, all of them actually, were alive. They thrived really well. They were able to withstand the weather. It's just that there one advantage, one real advantage of buying the cheap plants was variety. So I was able to choose a lot of plants. So if I had a budget of, for example, 500 pesos, I could only buy 3 mature plants from the other sellers. But those 3 mature plants survived. Whereas if I bought from the other seller who was who was selling cheaper succulents, I was able to buy more variety. I was able to choose more because she's selling really pretty plants as well, and I could grow them, and I was happy because there was a lot of varieties. Like, wow, very cheap, or I can choose so many. Right? You understand that, right? You get it. And let me just get my notes here because I forgot what to say. Yeah, so I bought succulents from other sellers too. They were more mature, but the good thing is they were able to survive most of them stayed alive and they continued to grow. They're still alive in my garden right now, although they're a little bit more expensive, but not too expensive when actually. But if you're collecting plants and if you live in a tropical country, and for me, I really want to have free plants, but you can never have free succulents, to be honest, because they're not endemic, they're not naturally growing in our country, so we have to buy them. Anyway, over time, one important thing that I realized is that I spent more money buying cheap succulent plants because I had to constantly replace them when they died. But whereas if I already invested in mature plants, they would have survived and they would have had babies by now and they would have produced more. So that's the thing. But like I said, the only real advantage of buying baby succulents was the variety. I love the variety. They're also beautiful, so I really wanted to have more different kinds of succulents. I'm really greedy. So right now, whenever I see stunning mature succulents, I still really hesitate to buy because they're still expensive, and I'm thinking, oh, I could achieve the same results if I could care for my plants, baby plants, better. And if I could care for them, they would grow and they would become more mature, and I could achieve the same thing. But I'm a beginner, so I still really have no idea of the proper care of many different kinds of plants. So yeah, I'm still learning, but it's part of the fun, right? And I love it. So I can eventually achieve the same results later on. And now it's January 26th. I'm reorganizing my balcony and repotting all my plants as much as possible before I leave again. I'll be going back to Zambales, and my plants might be left unattended for about a month. And before that happens, I need to make sure that everything is prepared and stable and ready to survive. So yeah, I'm as much as possible, I'm rushing right now. I'm trying to pot up all the succulents. I am refilling the pots with more soil, etc., etc. Good morning. So there is this one plant that I've been meaning to take care of immediately. It's this one. I need to pot these up already, the Vietnam rose, immediately before they completely dry out. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna pot them up in here, and I just need to fill this up with soil. Put some mesh around here and plant these boys before I do other chores for today. So I just mean to do one pot today. One quick potting. Oopsie. And this one is already calloused, so I also need to pot this up. This pepperonia. And let's get you closer so you can see what I'm doing. I need the soil over there. So let me just grab some soil. I need mine. Where's my mesh though? My mesh, my tools are hard to reach. That's fine. So I'm gonna put this regular soil underneath. Oh wait, I need my mesh. Damn, I couldn't find my mesh, so I'm just gonna use this. Yung ginagamit kong sieve. And this will do the trick. Last year, I was overwhelmed. I bought too many plants at once just because they were cheap. They didn't have the time to settle and they were exposed quickly to harsh weather. I later learned
that baby succulents need at least 2 months to establish before being exposed to outdoor conditions. Like at least 2 months. I knew that I would officially become a plant person, so of course, I had to replace the ones that I lost. So I began by buying succulents last year, and I rebuilt the collection. So now that I'm reorganizing my balcony and repotting the plants and making sure that they become more established this year before I actually leave them again for about a month. And I started here by potting up the Portulaca grandiflora, commonly known as the Vietnam rose, which I brought from Zambales. They have been sitting for like almost a month now, and they needed to be repotted immediately because they were starting to dry out, almost like bones. I used a layered mix of different types of soil. So at the bottom, I added random soil reused from old pots of previously bought plants, combined with some litter sand just to fill the pot because the cats have been messing up with my soil. And then I used another layer of random soil that I reused from old pots. But that's good soil. Those were the old soil that I was using. And on top, I added fresh soil mix that I bought from the Orchidarium, a local plant shop in my area. And the camera stopped recording during the process, but these plants are now acclimating in a bright... No, actually they're not acclimating because the cat found the pot and she messed with it. I think she peed on the pot, so plants were messed up again. So I'm gonna need to fix that later on and put them in a shaded area in the balcony where the cats can't reach it. Anyway, after that, I continued with random plant chores, of course, with a few distractions in between, like binging on SB19 on YouTube. I've been binge watching their videos because I realized they're really good. Anyway, I also was playing with the dog. I was busy refereeing cat versus dog skirmishes. Good morning. I don't know what day it is today, but it's 9:30 in the morning and the sun is out. Update on the plants. They're acclimating, but a cat messed up on one of the plants. Yung sa gitna. I guess they stepped on it because I see claw marks. And may bakat-bakat ng kuko. Well, they like boxes. That's why. Kainis lang. That's fine. I potted up stressed or damaged succulents, repotted others, and cultivated, loosened, and topped off the soil in their pots. Once everything was in place, I let the plants settle and gave them a little drink. After they had time to adjust, I plan to slowly let them dry out and gradually introduce them to sunlight. I know this process should ideally take months, but I'm doing it over a few days instead, which is not ideal. I just don't have much time right now. My main goal is to make sure they all get enough water so they can plump up before I leave them behind. And hopefully they will establish their roots. They become more established in their own individual pots when I'm gone. And hopefully the cats will not mess with them. Anyway. Look at this sedum clavatum. It's just so gorgeous right now because of the weather. I love the weather. Although it's foggy sometimes, so we still get a little bit of powdery mildew on the plants, but most of them are happy. Some of the plants have powdery mildew. At least those which were exposed in the rain before when they were in the shade. This sedum clavatum, it has been exposed in the sun for a long time and it looks so gorgeous. That is if the camera will focus. Ang ganda lang. Ang ganda lang. Ang ganda lang. Ang ganda lang. And the rest of the plants too. Is the camera doing justice? Ang ganda. Anyway, I think it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon and let's call it a day. I potted a few pots and I put them in here and some are in here. Yun, andun yung iba. So, i-replenish ko lang yung soil ng iba. It's so gorgeous itong mga white na succulents. Anyway, let's just call it a day and bukas ulit. In addition, I also repotted my aglaonema, and I'm not completely sure about the variety, but it could be a red lipstick or a CM Aurora or red CM aglaonema. But anyway, I need your help, aglaonema experts. Feel free to help me out here because I'm still learning and I only recently got into plants, and plant classification is something that I really struggle with, but at least now I know that it is this is an aglaonema. I'm pretty sure this is an aglaonema. And I'm also starting to consider adding more houseplants to my collection. Right now, I'm really fascinated by different aglaonema varieties. And I think we already have 3 types at home. One was given to my mom by her friend. And another one, my aunt gave it to me from Zambales. And the other one as well, another aunt gave it to me from Zambales, the one that I'm repotting. And, okay, so I repotted that plant, this red lipstick aglaonema, because it started producing babies and it had grown too tall for its pot. For now, I placed the mother plant back into its original pot until I find a taller one for her. The babies, however, were separated and transferred into their own pots. One of the babies might have been too young and it barely had any roots and is now showing signs of stress, and hopefully it pulls through. I'd also like to slowly add a few tropical plants that I can keep indoors. Anthuriums, palms, and alocasias are definitely on my radar, but I'm still not completely sold on them. When I say some plants feel common to me, I'm really talking about pothos, philodendrons, some begonias, and calatheas. I'm not too into monsteras yet or similar tropicals, probably because I live in a tropical country and see them everywhere. Lately, though, I've started to appreciate other tropical plants more, especially the rarer ones. I mean, those that I don't really see all the time. And I realized I was just being a bit ignorant before. Aglaonemas, anthuriums, alocasias, palms, birds of paradise, and even some dark longleaf begonias are slowly growing on me. And I'm starting to notice their beauty and unique character. I may not be fully into them yet, but they're definitely catching my attention. Good morning. So it's 11:15, January 15, and it's raining. There's a typhoon around Bohol, Visayas, or something or whatever, and it's kind of wet. So there's a cat. The cats are hanging out. Yan, hindi ko pa naayos tomorrow. Anyway, so we gotta check on the plants. Alright, so may pintuan dito harang sa cats. Pintuan, like hinarang ko yung bakal. And the thing is, despite having the harang, they can still hang out in here. And so, ayun, goodbye Purple Delight. Nakakainis ka, kitty cat. Ay, naku. You messed up my plant over there. A broken Purple Delight. Check lang natin ang top shelf. I put these things here and I'm watering the plants over there. This is slightly unti-unti nang nauubos ang plants. Konti na lang ang kailangan kong itanim, and today I need to finish this. Dahil itong na to, nandito yung mga binili ko dati na hindi ko na-repot. So ayun, nabasa sila sa ulan. Itong mga kailangan natin sunod na ipasok. Ito yung under shelf. Ayun, na-mess up na naman yung plants doon. So, may cut na naman. Kakainis. Pinaparoot ko yung mga yan pero never silang magro-root kung ang kukulit ng cuts. Anyway, quick pan lang. Ayan. So, ito yung shelf sa ilalim. And isa-isahin natin yung plants balang araw. Itong second shelf sa gitna. Andyan yung mga medyo bagong tanim at mga kailangan mag-recover muna ng roots, tsaka medyo sensitive. And then top shelf, yung mga medyo okay na. Dahil ito yung mga exposed sa araw. But then walang ulan dito. Ito yung ulanan. Ang ganda talaga ni Sidong Clavatum. Stressed. May red sa mga tips niya. Ang ganda. I love Sidong Clavatum. Ayan. Ang top shelf, medyo nabasa dahil umuulan. That's okay. And then, yung shelf sa ilalim, propagations naman. So, hopefully, hindi lumakas ang ulan dahil itong mga propagations, diniligan ko kahapon, bagong tanim lang yan. And kailangan kong i-protect itong mga to. Kailangan nila ng araw. Hindi araw. Kailangan nila maging dry. And empty pa yung shelf. Dahil ongoing pa nga ang aking mga pagre-repot. So, ayun. Alisin na natin itong mga nadiligan na nilagay sa shelf. Dito, sa kanan. And etc. Anyway, that's just a short update of the plants. And I'll see you next time. Have a good day. That's what I've accomplished so far, and I'm still in the process of potting and repotting the rest of my plants, placing them in different areas of the balcony to acclimate according to their microclimates, and making sure they're protected from my cats. My cats sometimes mess with the plants, disturbing the roots and leaves, which makes it harder for them to settle. My goal for this year is to have all my plants establish strong roots, acclimate well, and become resilient enough to withstand the coming wet season. Once they're mature, they'll eventually bring out their colors, and I'll finally get to enjoy looking at the balcony full of colorful plants, succulents, and tropicals, and maybe even flowers. For now, I can't fully enjoy their aesthetic beauty just yet, just a little bit, but I'm really enjoying the process of getting there and watching my succulents slowly achieve their pristine, healthy look. Anyway, I'll see you in another video where I share more updates on what's left of my collection so far this year.